Crohn's Colitis Foundation.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
In somewhat of a surprising move, the Clippers released veteran point guard Chris Paul. The 40-year-old Paul announced last month that he would be retiring after the season. Clippers GM Lawrence Frank informed Paul that he would not finish the season while the team is in Atlanta to play the Hawks tonight. Paul flew back to LA Tuesday night. Paul played 6 of his 21 NBA seasons with the Clippers. He's the franchise's all-time leader in assists and steals. Paul appeared in 16 games this season off the bench. He was averaging a career-low 2.9 points, 3.3 assists, and 14.3 minutes. Former Lakers center Eldon Campbell passed away early Wednesday morning. The cause of death has not been released. Campbell was 57. The 6'11 Campbell, who grew up in Inglewood and started at Morningside High School, played 8 of his 15 NBA seasons with the Lakers. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Celebrate the soul of the holidays and support Altadena and Pasadena. Join us on Monday, December 15th, 7 p.m. inside the Bram Goldsmith Theater at the Wallace in Beverly Hills for Soul of the Holidays, a joyful night of Motor City soul, gospel, and holiday classics featuring an 18-piece band, all-star vocalist, and community choirs, all in support of the Black LA Relief and Recovery Fund. This performance comes at a pivotal time for many in Altadena and Pasadena. This is their first holiday season since the devastating Altadena Eden Canyon fire, which destroyed homes and community spaces. While the physical losses are immense, the power of community remains, and your attendance directly supports recovery, resilience, and renewal. So, be sure to join us Monday, December 15th, 7 p.m. inside the Bram Goldsmith Theater at the Wallace in Beverly Hills for Soul of the Holidays, benefiting survivors of the Altadena Eden Canyon fire. For ticket information, just log on to tickets@thewallace.org. That's tickets@thewallace.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580 and the Black Freedom Fund.
Live from historic Leimert Park in Los Angeles, California, I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm so glad to see you and me back in stride again. Before we get started with today's show, let me invite you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Tavis Smiley, and get updates on X, that's formerly Twitter, at Tavis Smiley. By the way, should you miss any part of my program today or want to catch up on previous shows, you can always visit thetavissmileyshow.com. That's thetavissmileyshow.com, or wherever you get your podcast, and listen to the Tavis Smiley podcast version of this live program at your leisure. Another great show on tap for you today. In our second hour, conversation with University of Baltimore historian Joshua Clark Davis about his new text, Police Against the Movement, the Sabotage of the Civil Rights Struggle, and the Activists Who Fought Back. Indeed, there are some newly unveiled photographs which show the depth of surveillance to which Dr. King was subjected. We'll do that in hour two. In our third hour, with his approval numbers plummeting, Donald Trump has turned to a familiar strategy, launch a culture war against journalists. Over the Thanksgiving holiday weekend, the Trump White House debuted its so-called media bias tracker. We'll talk about the Trump media bias tracker and more with best-selling author, University of Michigan professor and award-winning cultural translator Marcus Collins, and we'll do all that in hour 3. But let's commence today's show in conversation with political strategist and host of the very popular Bad Faith podcast, Briahna Joy Gray. Briahna, how are you today?
I'm doing very well, thank you. It's good to be with you again. It's been too long.
It's good to hear your voice. Good to hear your voice. I was walking down the hallway into the studio, Briahna, thinking, where am I going to start with Briahna? I feel like, as I often say, Alex Trebek on Jeopardy, with so many things on the board to choose from. I'm going to choose for you. I think we'll start with the top of this food chain, as it were, and work our way down to the defense secretary. We'll start with Donald Trump. And this clip was trending everywhere yesterday. I'm sure by now you've heard it. If you haven't, take a listen to Donald Trump just going off. And I should warn you, there's a dirty word in here. I am not going to bleep out the dirty word because I want you to hear exactly what your president had to say. This is Donald Trump just going off yesterday.
I don't want them in our country. Their country's no good for a reason. Their country stinks, and we don't want them in our country. I could say that about other countries, too. I can say it about other countries too. We don't want them to hell. We have to rebuild our country. You know, our country's at a tipping point. We could go bad. We're at a tipping point. I don't know if people mind me saying that, but I'm saying it. We could go one way or the other, and we're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country. Ilhan Omar is garbage. She's garbage. Her friends are garbage. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, let's go, come on, let's make this place great. These are people that do nothing but complain. They complain. And from where they came from, they got nothing. You know, they came from paradise, and they said, this isn't paradise. But when they come from hell, and they complain and do nothing but bitch, we don't want them in our country. Let them go back to where they came from and fix it.
So my staff jumped ahead of me and thought they bleeped it, but that was a horrible bleep for Raji. I think we heard the word anyway. I digress. You gotta work on your skill set, brother, because you did not bleep the word you thought you bleeped. Anyway, I'm gonna leave Raji alone for the moment, at least. So there's so much in that. There's so much in that clip to unpack, Briahna. I must tell you. I don't even know where to start, as I said when I was walking in here. So I'm just going to shut up and let you take it. Like, where do you want to even start dissecting everything he said in that clip?
Okay, so there's a few things. One is that this is, a theme that he's been hitting since he first came down the golden escalator, right? That there are more and less meritorious people in the world that deserve to be Americans, countries that are better and worse, not due to any sort of concrete, economic factors, but because of the nature of the people who live there. But I think that what we're seeing in this clip is a sort of escalation that seems to be driven, in my view, by the fact that Trump is experiencing some of the lowest polling he's seen since he first came on to the political scene. And it's because the number one issue motivating most Americans politically is cost of living. Mm-hmm. In the past, he's been able to distract from the role that the economy plays in people's lives and the effect it has on driving people's politics by doing, the Republicans' version of identity politics, which is racism, and saying, well, that person over there is complaining about your country. They hate you. They're complaining and saying the world isn't good enough, so you can't join them in those complaints because that's what an unworthy person does. But I think you're getting this escalation because no matter if Ilhan Omar is also rightly complaining about the economic conditions and other conditions in the United States, it's so obvious that what she's saying is true for such a huge percentage of the population for whom the American dream is not paying off, that it does feel like there's an attempt to ratchet up the vilification of the folks who are making the complaint to distract from the legitimacy of the underlying complaint itself. And what we're seeing from polls is that doesn't seem to be working out very well for the Republican Party. So is it very ugly? Yes. Does it also seem like evidence of some desperation on the part of Trump and the Republicans who previously were able to get by on fear-mongering around immigration and the like? Also, yes.
We'll talk about that desperation when we come forward. Just getting started with Briahna Joy Gray, host of the very popular podcast, Bad Faith. You listened to her today, and I'm glad about it on Tavis, Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Looking for a purposeful and passionate way to make a difference in your community? Volunteer with our Senior Medicare Patrol and help prevent Medicare fraud. S&P volunteers work in their community educating peers about healthcare fraud and how to prevent and detect it. Free training starts soon. Check us out online or at an S&P open house near you. We're on a mission to stop fraud. Join our team. You make a difference. Visit caSMPvolunteer.org. Head to the Skirball Cultural Center for a thought-provoking contemporary art exhibition, Draw Them In, Paint Them Out. Trenton Doyle Hancock confronts Philip Guston. Explore resonant connections between the work of American Jewish painter Philip Guston and the work of Trenton Doyle Hancock, a leading Black American contemporary artist, in dialogue for the first time. While engaging with the artwork, consider the role that artists play in the pursuit of social justice. Plan your visit at skirball.org.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
With the new IHOP value menu, $6 is all it takes to go to your happy place, where stacks of pancakes with bacon and eggs are just $6 every day. French toast, sausage, and eggs are, you guessed it, $6. And fluffy omelets come with a side of pancakes and only cost $6. Go to your happy plates every day at IHOP. $7 in some locations. Available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
Oh, how's that flu, babe? Did you take Dayquil Intense Flu yet?
Nah, I got this. Ugh, okay, I don't got this.
You stay on the couch, and I'll grab the Dayquil.
Undo your flu symptoms with Dayquil Intense Flu. Dayquil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms.
I'm ready for that to-do list.
Wow, you do got this.
Dayquil Intense Flu. The daytime coughing, aching, fever, under your flu, medicine. Use as directed, keep out of reach of children.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline nasal spray?
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
Less monologue, more dialogue. Tavis Smiley continues right now.
He does indeed with Briahna Joy Gray, political strategist, host of the Bad Faith podcast, former director of comms for Bernie Sanders. Long resume, Harvard lawyer. But today, she's a guest on our program, and we're honored to have her in this first hour. So, again, you said a lot a moment ago, Briahna Joy Gray, and I want to just sort of give you a chance to unpack a bit more now that I've got the rest of the hour to sort of let you flex. I think the first thing I want to start with is what I was thinking while you were talking about Donald Trump being in trouble vis-a-vis the economy. It wasn't that long ago, as you know, just a year ago, where voters were not convinced, for whatever reason or reasons, they were not convinced that Kamala Harris would be better on the economy. Never mind all of Donald Trump's bankruptcies, never mind all the lawsuits that were floating against him, never mind his inflating his wealth, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. By and large, most Americans seemed not to buy the fact that Kamala would be better on the economy. In fact, if you look at the exit polling, that was the issue then, as you mentioned a moment ago, as it is the issue now. How did a guy who has now acting in desperate ways, to use your words, convince the rest of the country that he would be better on the economy than Kamala Harris?
Let me answer that question with a question, Tavis. Can you articulate for me what Kamala Harris's plan was for the economy?
I cannot.
There we have it. And Joe Biden as well, right? We spent most of his term when was also economic decline, talking about all the reasons why the public was wrong and that the economy was good, actually, in fact, and that they just weren't looking at the macroeconomic numbers. And Democrats were basically just running cover for a felt reality that was very negative, right? Because it negatively reflected on Joe Biden's management. So big picture, obviously, there are economic swings that are out of control of presidents, and Joe Biden obviously had to contend with the COVID recession. That being said, it wasn't as though Biden or Kamala offered up really concrete solutions to the problem or even basically acknowledged what was going on with the public. Because again, acknowledging it would be to admit that the failure happened on a Democrat's watch. So what I don't want is for us to be in a country that basically swings back and forth because whoever is in power is blamed. The other party benefits from the other party being maligned, but neither party is ever pushed to offer real concrete solutions. Now, in contrast, I think many of us could recite what, say, Zohran Mamdani's economic prescription for New York is. He says he wants to freeze the rent. He says he wants to make buses fast and free. I'm not saying that everyone has to ape his exact prescription, but it is clear that you can make specific demands, a specific ask, have a specific agenda that motivates people to the polls, and Democrats declined to do so last year.
Yeah. I used a phrase on this program the other day, and the phrase I recall was irrational exuberance. And I am always concerned that where Donald Trump is concerned, where Democrats are concerned with regard to their response to him, that we need to be mindful and be careful of not being irrationally exuberant. And in that context, I ask you this question directly. How desperate, you used the word earlier, so I'm going to follow you and adopt your language. How desperate do you think Donald Trump is? I mean, everywhere you look, you see stories. This race yesterday were in Tennessee, where the Republican won, but everybody was watching it to see if a Democrat could pull this off. She did not pull it off, but the numbers were so close. Donald Trump won that district by, 22 points? It wasn't anywhere near that yesterday when they finished counting the ballots. So there's another sign for Republicans, say nothing of the election some weeks ago, that Democrats did rather well in. So you see the signs everywhere, the stories at least everywhere, that Republicans ought to be concerned about the midterms. And to your point, Donald Trump is he's always acting out, but he's really acting out right now. He's doubling down, again, to your analysis, because he's desperate. So my question simply is, how desperate is he?
The numbers aren't good. And even when numbers have been better than this, there does tend to be a backswing during midterms. We saw the red wave that never was in 2022, right? So that combined with him talking about not having going for a third term, just something that he's flirted with for all of these years. There's, I think, some speculation about his sort of health and fitness. And, even cognitive fitness, all of these things also maybe contributing to the sense that he has to wrap this up and figure out what kind of transition, not just because he's not fit for it, but because the party is held in such low esteem at this moment. So, yeah, I think he's pretty desperate. But again, do the Democrats just want to benefit from the Republicans' failures? Because if that's the goal, if that's the whole plan, it's just to wait for the Republicans to mess up, to benefit, and then not have a plan for their own success, the shoe's going to be on the other foot in 2 seconds. And we know that we've seen during this last year that the Republicans are much more willing to make the kind of structural changes and to use all the power at their disposal to reset the country in a way Democrats aren't willing to do when they get back in power. So the effect of all of this back and forth is going to be a steady ratcheting to the right. Who, how, and why, under what circumstances are Democrats willing to actually rebalance the scales, and not just rebalance the scales, push harder left in a direction that actually benefits regular working and middle-class Americans?
Yep. So Democrats had a good showing, as I mentioned not long ago here in Virginia and in New Jersey, here in California, Prop 50. There were some races all across the country that we all followed. We all talked about. Democrats had a pretty good day. And yet that was the people, to my mind, saving the party. Not the party, not the party saving the people. The people saving the party. So you saw this story a couple weeks ago where the Democratic Party is so broke right now. They had to borrow, what was that, $15 or $20 million? They had to borrow like $15 million to shore up their coffers because their fundraising is so abysmal right about now. So what do I make of the fact that while, to your point, Donald Trump is as desperate as we have ever seen him, he's never had poll numbers this low, but Democrats can't make hay out of it, so much so that they're borrowing $15 million to shore up their coffers.
As low as the Republican polling is, the Democrat polling is right behind them. And when it comes to the confidence that the Republican base has in their party versus the Democratic base has in their party, the Republican base is more energized and remains more confident in the Democratic base. And this is the direct consequence of Democrats believing that they could just depend on their base to vote blue no matter who, no matter how far the party ratcheted to the right. Remember, we were just talking about the election last year and why it was that Kamala Harris couldn't engender more faith in her ability to improve the economy. What she was running on wasn't the economy, and not just her, but Joe Biden, obviously, before that. What they had proposed in those last months was, remember, this really right-wing immigration plan, and the whole plot was, we're going to do put all of the Republicans' immigration dreams into a bill, dare them not to vote for it, and when they don't pass it, we'll say, oh, they don't really care about immigration because Democrats are just as right-wing as they want them to be, and they still won't sign into this bill because of partisanship. Now, if you're a member of the Democratic Party base, does that inspire you to turn out? The knowledge that Democrats wanted to, play chicken with immigration? And if you're the Democratic Party, what credibility do you have now talking about these horrible ICE raids when most of the party, with some exceptions, Chris Van Hollen being one of them, thinking it's quote-unquote bad politics to talk about people getting secret policed off the streets and women assaulted in detention centers with no accountability and due process going out of the window, when you spent the last few years talking about how the defund ICE movement was silly and stupid and a left-wing lark.
I'm processing what you've just said here, and I'm just thinking, 10, 11 months ago, the Democratic Party set a record by raising $1 billion. I want y'all to think about this. Just barely under a year ago, the Democratic Party raised $1 billion with a B dollars. Nobody in the history of politics had ever done anything near that. You've gone from raising $1 billion some months ago to now borrowing $15 million. First of all, the numbers, I think, obviously tell the story, but on top of that, $15 million ain't doing nothing for a party. You can't do nothing with $15 million. And you had $1 billion, and you couldn't pull this thing off. It is unnerving for me, Briahna, and I don't want to put too much on it. But again, just a year ago, they raised $1 billion, and now they're borrowing $15 million to keep the doors open and the lights on.
Do you remember, Tavis, who the number one fundraising candidate was in the very crowded 2020 Democratic primary?
I know you do. Remind me.
It was Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
And he did that while being the candidate that took no corporate money, returned a donation from that one liberal Disney billionaire heiress because she was a billionaire and he refused to take any money from billionaires on GP. Okay? Mm-hmm. And he was able to have consistent donations throughout the primary season and not have the tapering off that many other kinds of candidates have because he was getting small dollar donations, the average size of which was $27 from regular people who set up recurring donations instead of what normal people, many candidates have is folks maxing out, giving the maximum, and then not being able to give any more down the line. This is the power that you can have if you rely on the people to fund you instead of corporations. By contrast, Joe Biden took more money from billionaires and corporations during that primary than anybody else. And I think that what you saw last year was, in all likelihood, a last dash of big donors who were trying to put Kamala Harris over the finish line. But if you're a corporation or a very affluent American, frankly, what's going on with Donald Trump doesn't bother you that much. Mm-hmm. And we've seen a little bit of this in the Epstein files, right? At one point, there was a correspondence with an employee at one of these big banks that said something along the lines of, after Trump got elected, it doesn't matter, whatever you think about Donald Trump back, after 2016 election, whatever you think about Donald Trump, we have to make sure that his economic agenda passes or else we're going to get Bernie Sanders' economic agenda. That's the real That's the real dividing line in the country. The people who want to maintain the corporatocracy and the oligarchic status quo, and folks that want there to be an economic system that supports the interests of regular working people, working class and poor people in this country.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, the big dollar donors, they don't love the messiness of the Donald Trump administration, but it's not an exigent issue for them. They're not going to throw money behind the Democratic Party when they're kind of okay with the economic status of the Trump administration. Moreover, they're certainly not going to get behind the energy that could clearly help Democrats to win, right? The populist left energy that could have Democrats winning all across the country, because the economic implications of that for billionaire donors are very bad. Look at what's going on again in New York City with Zohran Mamdani with his huge mandate, winning with a bigger margin than has happened in recent history. And having the governor of the state say that she's going to try to foil his agenda by not supporting his very popular tax on the top 1% of New Yorkers, right? A wealth tax is extremely popular across the country. Donald Trump won, and during inauguration had every billionaire in the country sitting behind him, Elon Musk and the like, as what his clear cabinet was going to be, then turned over control of the government via Doge to the richest man in the world. And the Democrats are refusing to run on the idea that having that much money, the orders of magnitude bigger that a billion is than a million, and having soon to be the first trillionaire in the history of mankind doesn't have a deleterious effect on our democracy. Democrats won't run on that. They barely would acknowledge Bernie and AOC's very popular oligarchy tour, because they know that their donor base that they care about within the corporate Democratic Party establishment isn't going to be happy about any substantive change.
I've got 2 minutes here now. We got the rest of the hour when we come forward. But let me just, you used another word. You've been using words today that jump out at me. We talked earlier about Donald Trump being desperate. I want to go to the word unbothered that you uttered a moment ago. Beyond his billionaire bros that you've just, laid out quite nicely for us, who else right now, strange question, but I'm fascinated by your answer. Who else do you think right now is unbothered? I mean, is his base unbothered? Who else? We obviously on this program and this audience are clearly bothered by the way Donald Trump is showing up. Beyond the billionaire bros, who else do you think is unbothered by all of this mess?
Look, this is really a class divide. I think in some ways the interesting part is how many people within the Trump orbit, within MAGA world, are in fact increasingly bothered by Donald Trump and the failure to follow through on his promise of no more endless wars. Not only do we have this indiscriminate bombing in Venezuela, we have, of course, the genocide in Gaza that's been ongoing for 2 years, around which there is no popular support, none whatsoever. And I think the victory in New York City by Zohran Mamdani is emblematic of how galvanizing Gaza is as an issue for folks on the left and on the right, and the increasing number of MAGA world folks, including Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, who have come out very critically of how America gives more money to Israel than any other country in the world. Not some poor country, not a country destitute, but Israel, where people have free health care when Americans do not, is in fact not America first and not what they signed up for. So there's a real potential here for political realignment, but the concern is that Democrats are going to let the Marjorie Taylor Greenes of the world and the Tucker Carlsons of the world, who very well may run for president, occupy that lane without any competition. Because again, look at how willing the Democrats are to fight against popular folks among their own ranks who occupy that space, like AOC, like Zohran Mamdani, like Bernie Sanders and the anti-oligarchy tour, et cetera. Rather than lift them up. And the leaders of the Democratic Party, and Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, as some of Israel's biggest advocates, I'm sure you heard Charlamagne the God term and nickname him AIPAC Shakur, Hakeem Jeffries. And it's an appropriate nickname given that he's referred to Israel as the sixth borough of New York.
We'll talk about AIPAC Shakur He's been termed. When we come forward, we'll talk about whether or not the people will, in fact, rescue the party in these midterms. Are we actually in the mood to do that, even though Democrats really are moving in a variety of ways that suggest they're spineless. And we'll talk about that indiscriminate bombing in Venezuela that she referenced a moment ago. To my mind, it's a war crime. This Hegseth drama is getting crazier by the day. Can Democrats make hay of that? I'm not sure. We'll talk about it when we come forward with Briahna Joy Gray on Tavis Smiley.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Outgoing New York City Mayor Eric Adams met with Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani, urging him to keep key programs.
All the things we've done, I want him to continue that success. And I think the best level of appreciation is duplication. And I think they're going to duplicate a lot of things that we've done.
Adams will share documents on his administration's accomplishments as Mamdani decides what to continue. Former Officer Derek Chauvin wants his George Floyd murder conviction vacated. He's filed a petition in Minnesota claiming faulty testimony and asking for a new trial or hearing. Chauvin is serving 22 and a half years, set for release in 2035. And Apple Music has named Drake its most streamed artist of 2025. The year's biggest song is APT by Rosé, and Bruno Mars tops the platform's annual replay list. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
In somewhat of a surprising move, the Clippers released veteran point guard Chris Paul. The 40-year-old Paul announced last month that he would be retiring after the season. Clippers GM Lawrence Frank informed Paul that he would not finish the season while the team is in Atlanta to play the Hawks tonight. Paul flew back to LA Tuesday night. Paul played 6 of his 21 NBA seasons with the Clippers. He's the franchise's all-time leader in assists and steals. Paul appeared in 16 games this season off the bench. He was averaging a career-low 2.9 points, 3.3 assists, and 14.3 minutes. Former Lakers center Eldon Campbell passed away early Wednesday morning. The cause of death has not been released. Campbell was 57. The 6'11 Campbell, who grew up in Inglewood and starred at Morningside High School, played 8 of his 15 NBA seasons with the Lakers. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This holiday season, KBLA Talk 1580 wishes you and yours joy, peace, and prosperity. As we celebrate with family and friends, we're already looking forward to an exciting first quarter, packed with must-attend events to kick off the new year just right. In January, join us for our inaugural Brotherhood Brunch, bringing together community leaders, change makers, and everyday people for inspiration and connection. February means it's time for our signature Black History Month luncheon, a powerful celebration you won't want to miss. And in March, Women's History Month, we're once again hosting our State of Black Women in Los Angeles Symposium and Luncheon, addressing the issues that matter most inside our community. From all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, happy holidays. Stay tuned for more details on these incredible upcoming events. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice, your community, your power.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know? The United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time. Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
Celebrate the soul of the holidays and support Altadena and Pasadena. Join us on Monday, December 15th, 7 p.m. inside the Bram Goldsmith Theater at the Wallace in Beverly Hills for Soul of the Holidays, a joyful night of Motor City soul, gospel, and holiday classics featuring an 18-piece band, all-star vocalist, and community choirs, all in support of the Black LA Relief and Recovery Fund. This performance comes at a pivotal time for many in Altadena and Pasadena. This is their first holiday season since the devastating Altadena Eden Canyon fire, which destroyed homes and community spaces. While the physical losses are immense, the power of community remains, and your attendance directly supports recovery, resilience, and renewal. So, be sure to join us Monday, December 15th, 7 p.m. inside the Bram Goldsmith Theater at the Wallace in Beverly Hills for Soul of the Holidays, benefiting survivors of the Altadena Eden Canyon fire. For ticket information, just log on to tickets@thewallace.org. That's tickets@thewallace.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580 and the Black Freedom Fund.
More honesty than you can handle. More empowerment than you can imagine. You're tuned in to Tavis, Smiley.
Tavis, Smiley, and Briahna Joy Gray, political strategist, host of the Bad Faith podcast, former spokesperson for Bernie Sanders. Always thrilled to be in conversation with the brilliant Briahna Joy Gray. So you heard Briahna say a moment ago, you heard her use this reference, this indiscriminate bombing in Venezuela. Indeed, that's exactly what it was. You've been following this story, and if you've not, it's the most bizarre thing. And maybe bizarre is the wrong word. It's predictable when you think about it, given how these guys have shown up. It is both bizarre and predictable then. How about we go with both of those words? But it's getting crazier by the day. So here is some sound from yesterday of Pete Hegseth, the defense secretary. Of course, they prefer to call it the Department of War. I ain't going there. But anyway, he is in this clip defending a follow-up military strike on this alleged drug boat. An alleged drug boat is the key phrase. Back in September, that reportedly killed survivors of the initial attack. So if you've not been following this, they bombed, they fired on this boat. A bunch of folk were killed in the initial firing. There were a couple of survivors. And so the question is what Pete Hegseth knew and when he knew it. What did he say? What did he order? And this slope is getting slipperier and slipperier by the day. But, why would you give a second order to go back and hit this thing again and kill those last two survivors? That's what's at issue here. And Hegseth is trying to act as if, suggest that he do nothing about it, that he didn't give the order. That is in direct conflict with the Washington Post, and others are reporting about exactly what he said and exactly what he did. But here's Hegseth trying to defend himself yesterday. Take a listen.
I watched that first strike live. As you can imagine, at the Department of War, we got a lot of things to do. So I didn't stick around for the hour and 2 hours, whatever, where all the sensitive site exploitation digitally occurs. So I moved on to my next meeting. A couple of hours later, I learned that commander had made which he had the complete authority to do, and by the way, Admiral Bradley made the correct decision to ultimately sink the boat and eliminate the threat. He sunk the boat, and eliminated the threat. And it was the right call. We have his back. And the American people are safer because narco-terrorists know you can't bring drugs through the water and eventually on land if necessary to the American people. We will eliminate that threat, and we're proud to do it.
So you didn't see any survivors, to be clear, after that first strike?
I did not personally see survivors, but I stand, because the thing was on fire. It was exploded in fire or smoke. You can't see anything. You got digital. This is called the fog of war. This is what you in the press don't understand.
There he is again going in on the press. We'll talk about that later in our third hour, this Trump strategy, once again, of just impugning and going in on the press. But what this situation raises a lot of questions, not the least of which is, was it the right call? You heard Hegseth say it was. Was it the right call? And more to the point, who actually made the call? Who made the call? And Hegseth continues to act as if, although he is not, to my mind, Briahna, explicitly denied that he did, in fact, make the call. They've been framing this in a variety of interesting ways, but I've not, unless I've missed something, I've not heard him say specifically that he did not make that call. Have you heard that?
No, and while I'm not an international law expert, I haven't seen any who've weighed in on this say this is anything other than a war crime.
Mm-hmm.
And the difficult issue here is twofold. One, there's the pretext of it all. Why is there this interest in escalating with Venezuela? Does it have anything to do with Venezuela having the world's largest oil reserves? Has this been a preoccupation of U.S. foreign policy for decades and decades? Yes. Is there an overwhelming hypocrisy in framing this as all being about a drug war when Trump's White House just pardoned a former Honduran president who was a convicted drug trafficker?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there's also this sort of overarching problem, which is that America doesn't place any accountability. There's never any accountability for any American leaders who commit war crimes, which basically every president does. And so what you're seeing in a lot of the discourse now is Republicans saying, well, was it a war crime when Obama was drone striking Yemen? Was it a war? And the left is saying, yes, we've been complaining about this for years. Was the war on terror? Should George Bush have been tried for war crimes and Abu Ghraib and all of those offenses? The answer is yes. But when you are confronted with the escalation, the lack of any kind of legitimacy, even an attempt at legitimacy, the barefacedness of what's going on here, and you haven't demanded any consistency with how we treat violations of international law up until this point, not even to mention the flagrant disregard for both international law and U.S. law that Joe Biden had in the course of America's funding Israel's genocide for the last 2 years, then what do you do in the faces of any charge that to hold Trump and Hegseth accountable now would be hypocrisy? At what point are we going to start caring about international law? And can liberals land this plane with respect to Hegseth? Hakeem Jeffries has said, notably, that he's not going to bring impeachment charges against Hegseth.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why is that? Is it because Democrats actually don't want to set a standard that we're holding people accountable for violating international law?
Yeah. So I'm glad Briahna Joy Gray went there because I wanted to go there anyway. Let me just be clear about this, though. She put her finger on this. I want to just put a finer point on it. International humanitarian law or the laws of war forbid the killing or attacking of survivors of a bombing or attack who are no longer participating in hostilities, and deliberately targeting them is a grave war crime. I'm reading you now the letter of the law. It is, in fact, a war crime. It is directly forbidden to kill or attack the survivors of an initial bombing or attack who are not involved at that point in any hostility, and deliberately targeting them for murder is a grave war crime. That is international humanitarian law as it relates to the laws of war. So whoever gave this order, whether Hegseth gave it or Admiral Bradley gave it, whoever gave this order is guilty, in fact, of a war crime. You have no business, no right to go back and bomb them a second time just to kill the two remaining survivors. And we'll see if Congress really gets involved with this in the way they should. They're suggesting they're going to call hearings on this and bring Hegseth up and bring Bradley up. I think Bradley's set for a hearing this week anyway, probably a closed-door hearing, I suspect. So maybe in the coming days, maybe we'll learn more about this. But somebody gave this order. And the question is whether Hegseth gave it or whether the admiral gave it. And the Washington Post is reporting that Hegseth gave the order. Again, he is not explicitly denied that, but they keep talking about, you heard him, I played the clip, you heard it. I was in a meeting, I didn't see it, I left, I came back, and I realized, okay, whatever. But again, the reporting on this is that he specifically gave that order. Now, you heard Briahna Joy Gray mention Hakeem Jeffries. Hakeem Jeffries did, in fact, say yesterday that he can't imagine there will be no impeachment proceedings against Pete Hegseth. Now, Briahna, it puts her finger right on it. If you can't call a hearing, if you can't introduce impeachment articles when it's clear that the defense secretary engaged in a war crime, then when can you ever, start impeachment hearings? And this is why Hakeem Jeffries just rubs some folk the wrong way. On the one hand, everybody's excited about the midterms, and if Democrats can win, the brother would become the first black person to be the Speaker of the House. Okay, I get that euphoria. I get that. On the other hand, he moves funny sometimes, and he's my friend, my brother, my fraternity brother. But Hakeem just moves funny sometimes, and this is one of those times. When we come forward, I want to play you a clip of Hakeem Jeffries. Since Briahna Joy Gray went there, you're listening to Tavis Smiley.
From Leimert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
KBLA Talk 1580 remembers Robin Ayers on the 1-year anniversary of her passing. 1 year ago this week, we lost a remarkable and vibrant voice. Robin Ayers touched countless lives through her passion, her love, her service, and her smile, which you could see through the radio. KBLA Talk 1580 honors her memory and celebrates the legacy she left behind. Robin, your spirit lives on in every conversation, in every connection, and in every one of us, inspired by your voice. Gone but never forgotten. KBLA Talk 1580, where voices matter.
I'm missing you. Tell me why the road turns. I'm missing you. Tell me why the road turns.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well-trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Helping to make you the most knowledgeable person in your circle of friends. This is Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley, Briahna Joy Gray, host of the very popular podcast Bad Faith. I listen to it. I love it. You should check it out if you have not. You become quickly a Briahna Joy Gray fan when you do. She's pretty good at it. So she mentioned Hakeem, and I want to play this clip from Sunday. So the clip you're about to hear now is a clip that that was in the ether before the Hegseth clip that I played a moment ago. Just give you the direct order here. But listen to Hakeem on Sunday, and then I'll bring you up with Briahna Joy Gray, bring up to speed on what he said yesterday. Miles.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth verbally ordered a military strike on Venezuela that legal experts are saying is tantamount to murder. Are you going to call for Pete Hegseth's resignation?
Yeah, what's interesting is that I called for Pete Hegseth's resignation back in the spring. The guy is totally and woefully unqualified, the most unqualified so-called Secretary of Defense in American history. And so it's long past time that he's got to go. Now, the big challenge we have is, what is the justification for what many people rightfully believe are extrajudicial killings off the coast of South America. We've had a few classified briefings that I've been a part of, and I've seen no evidence to actually justify the strikes that are taking place. We need a full congressional briefing as well. And the administration, if they believe they have the authority to do this, if they believe these targets undermine America's national security, then they need to present that evidence. But we've seen nothing to date.
All right, so that's Hakeem Jeffries on Sunday on MS Now. So this is yesterday. Yesterday, he says that he expects Congress to launch bipartisan investigations into the incident in both chambers in order to determine, these are his words, in order to determine whether war crimes were committed and either U.S. law or international law or both were violated. That's a quote from Hakeem Jeffries. He expects that there'll be hearings in both houses to determine whether war crimes were committed and either U.S. law or international law or both were violated. He then predicted, and this is what Briahna was getting to a moment ago, predicted that impeachment would be off the table. Impeachment is off the table. And here's his excuse. Here's his rationale. It's off the table because Republicans control both chambers of Congress and because Donald Trump will order them not to do it. So that's the reason why he ain't calling for impeachment proceedings or allowing Democrats in his party to call for impeachment proceedings, because the rationale is that Republicans control both chambers of Congress and Donald Trump will order them not to do it. And to that I say, duh. we already know that.
I mean, this is a like a fundamental disagreement that happens in all kinds of political environments. I mean, there's one of these happening on the left right now, which is, should you try for something if it might fail? And there's a school of thought that says, unless you literally meet the objective, whether it's winning the election or successfully impeaching someone, there's no point in doing it, right? It's a waste of energy and political capital. And there's another school of thought that says, if you stop doing the right thing because in the first instance it doesn't succeed, you are normalizing the underlying crime.
That's right.
And you are normalizing a party acting on a purely partisan basis with impunity, without them having to stand and make the case to the public that they are going to run cover for someone who has been credibly charged with war crimes. This is happening, I alluded to this, happening on the left right now with respect to Hakeem Jeffries, where Zohran Mamdani has been working behind the scenes reportedly, and then came out and argued at a DSA meeting that this young DSA member, Chiose, should not mount a challenge against Hakeem Jeffries.
That's right, yeah.
In New York, and that this isn't the right time. And one of the arguments that's being bandied about is it's not the right time. It's unlikely that Chiose will win because of how much money and name recognition Hakeem Jeffries has, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But how will the people who live in Hakeem Jeffries' district ever hear about Hakeem Jeffries' failures?
That's right.
How will his polling ever shift and change if there are never any credible challengers toward him? And should someone who has such low confidence from his own party, and who has done, frankly, such a bad job in the grand scheme with all the Democratic losses, including last year that we've seen, ever be held to account if there's never any challenge against him?
And to put a final point on it, everything that Zohran said was said about him a year ago. So everything, you can't win, now is not the right time. The same things he's saying about this city councilman not primarying Hakeem Jeffries. And I'm not saying I'm endorsing that. I'm just saying everything that Zohran says about why he shouldn't do it are the same things that were said about Zohran just a few months ago. I digress on that. To put a final point on what Briahna also just said, I put it this way, that winning and witness are not the same thing. Bearing witness has nothing to do with winning. Sometimes when you bear witness, you win. But trust me, not usually. But bearing witness, speaking truth to power and to the powerless, and coming out the victor, the two things have nothing to do with each other. Our remaining moments with Briahna Joy Gray when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Helping to stretch your moral and political imagination. This is Tavis Smiley. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a Black and Brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at walkgoodla. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
Made fresh daily in the Mert Park, Los Angeles, California. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Got 3 minutes left here, and I want to yield the balance of my time to Briahna Joy Gray. There is polling, I'm looking at it last night, Briahna, that suggests the Democrats do, in fact, have the biggest advantage for control of Congress in 8 years now. That's what the polling suggests. My exit question, and the time, again, the time is all yours. Whether or not you think that Democratic voters will essentially rescue the party, because if Democrats can pull this off, it's clear to me it ain't going to be because of the brilliant strategery, to quote George Bush, of the DNC.
That's right. Republicans might lose. That shouldn't be mistaken for Democrats winning. And if people really mean what they say about how horrible this last year has been, and the disruption of norms, the violation of rights, the lack of due process, the people being snatched off the streets, the children's SNAP not being funded, the list, the wars that Trump is now provoking, the ongoing genocide in Gaza, if people are really serious about this, then they cannot confuse the Republicans' failures for a Democratic victory. Because again, that same polling shows that the support for Democrats among their base is even lower than what Republicans have among their base. And they have more of a wellspring to draw on the second they get a candidate that's less embarrassing and more inspiring and a little bit more discreet than Donald Trump. They're in the midst of a movement maturation, and the Democrats don't have a movement at all. And I want to be so clear that there is a path forward for the left that doesn't involve capitulating to the right and trying to chase the right on immigration and these other issues. If someone has a conservative view on immigration or trans issues or whatever, they're going to vote for Republicans, not a Democrat-light version of it. But what there is a lane for a populist left that is anti-oligarch, that wants to tax the rich, that acknowledges that there is income distribution that's going to the top 1%, even though people are working harder than ever and productivity is harder than ever, that is against endless wars, that is against genocide, that respects international law, that wants to be America first in a genuine way and provide health care, not health insurance, through a Medicare for All style program, and actually make America a country that looks like the richest country in the history of the world and whose infrastructure projects don't look like Tyco toys compared to China. And if Democrats want to be that, they can win. And as long as they're not doing that, I think the public should ask themselves how badly the Democrats actually do want to win, or if they would rather maintain a corporate status quo than actually defeating the Republicans they decry as fascist.
Mic drop by Briahna Joy Gray, political strategist, host of the Bad Faith podcast, former spokesperson for Bernie Sanders. Always delighted, as I said earlier, to be in conversation with Briahna Joy Gray. Always makes me think. Briahna Joy, thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much, Tavis. It's been great.
I appreciate you. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Outgoing New York City Mayor Eric Adams met with Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani, urging him to keep key programs.
All the things we've done, I want him to continue that success. And I think the best level of appreciation is duplication. And I think they're going to duplicate a lot of things that we've done.
Adams